Hello and welcome to another edition of TV Enthusiast Weekly Show, TVE versus Marvel versus DC. I'm your host, Will Rohrig, the keeper of comics. Joining me tonight is Tyson Gifford, editor-in-chief of TV Enthusiast.
Hello, everybody.
And tonight we are going to discuss the latest episodes in both the MCU and the Arrowverse, which is basically Flash, Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. To start it off, we're going to talk about the latest episode of Arrow and then go from there. So basically, this week's episode of Arrow, they brought back a character who debuted on The Flash, Brie Larson, who sort of became a nemesis for Felicity Smoke. And this time she is after Felicity Smoke's spinal implant that is allowing her to walk. And she brings her army of bees with her. And the Arrow team has to tackle Brie Larson and her bees in order to save Felicity, who is trapped inside of Palmer Tech Industries building.
They have to somehow get past all the bee puns.
No.
Oh, behave.
Oh, behave. When will this be? All I thought was, when will this be over? What do you think, Tyson?
Another steep decline in Arrow. That's kind of my main point there.
This is awful. This is the second week in a row that we've just focused almost exclusively on Felicity. Like, one Felicity episode was bad enough. We needed another one right after that. This show might as well just be called Felicity, guest starring Arrow and Friends. At this point, yeah. I mean, if we're just going to make every episode about her now, it's ridiculous. Nobody asked for this Brie Larson. Nobody cared about this character when she was on The Flash. Who asked for this character to come back? Nobody.
It's a very Smallville character.
It is. And to make matters worse, Felicity's mom was in this episode. Another terrible character that nobody wanted to see again, but yet is being forced upon us for no reason. So
the Smokes are ruining it again.
Yes. This episode was just bad. It was terrible. I mean,
Keeping Up with the Smokes. That's the name of the show now.
Yeah, Keeping Up with the Smokes, pretty much. There was no redeeming. The best parts were Damien Dark in prison was the best part. That should have been the entire episode. Damien Dark in prison.
Again, though, it ends up hitting that area where it's got similarities to Daredevil. But Daredevil's so much better, you know? It's like the last time where we had the court case, and it was like, this is a really poorly done courtroom scene just after we'd watched Daredevil, where they had like these really good court scenes. And now it's like, oh, here's prison life scene, a really bad prison life scene, after we just had like some amazing prison scenes.
Arrow is like Daredevil if Daredevil was suddenly dominated by this really annoying woman. Really annoying woman. And then the rest of the scenes surrounding that were like watered down significantly.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's really a shame, like, because season 2 of Arrow was so good. The slip started in season 3 and it just kept getting worse. And I just don't get it. Like, I don't get how they lost so much of their quality. I mean, the main showrunners are still there, you know? I mean, their attentions are a little split because they're doing multiple shows now, but you think that they'd be able to allocate their resources a little bit better because, geez.
Well, the thing is, like, it didn't even feel like this show was about Green Arrow anymore. He felt like a side character in his own show in this episode. It's like, really? Yeah, exactly. It's like, I just don't have words for this anymore. This is just bad.
That's the word for it.
They need to do something about this.
Yeah, they really do. They need to majorly restructure the show because it's a mess right now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it seems like the majority of the fan base is still just as rabid for the show as they were before, and the complaints seem to be coming from like a vocal minority, which is unfortunate because it's, you know, it just means it's going to probably continue down this path. Fan service arrow, you know?
I mean, I'm pretty easy to please, too. I mean, I was happy with Supernatural, even at its very worst. Even when Supernatural was like...
Supernatural, that's very worst, is way better than this.
Yeah, it is way, way better than this. Exactly. So...
Yeah, you have to do a special kind of fuck up to get where you're at right now with Arrow. It's really unfortunate because, like we said, season 2 of Arrow was so good, and this is just they're just failing. They have failed this fan base.
You have failed this fan base. I mean, they get rid of Felicity, they can salvage this show. But
I think it might take more than that because it's not just the Felicity scenes that have been bad, you know? I mean, Felicity's been the worst. She's like the worst offender in a show that's pretty much universally bad right now.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, Damien Dark was really cool. They got a good actor for it, and what they're doing with him now with the court trial and stuff, it's not good, you know? And it's you have a really good actor, you know, you have a really intriguing character.
Yeah, I liked him in this episode though. I liked him in this episode. Like when he got like the guy with the mouth sewn shut, he had him kill like those 2 goons that were standing next to him, and then Damien Dark was like, "They're dead? Oh, I had this whole speech planned out about," and I thought that was pretty fun. That was pretty cool and funny. That was classic Neil McDonough charm.
Yeah, it's him saving what's there, you know. Like the scene's not that great, but he's there, you know, and he's kind of doing what he can with it. It's kind of like, you know, John Barrowman. When they have John Barrowman on now, it's like they don't really have anything decent for him to be doing, you know. He's just kind of acting petty and stuff, and then they're completely relying on John Barrowman to save it. And it's like, well, John Barrowman's a great actor. You got a great person there to work with, and if someone's going to save it, that's a great person to go to for it. But you got to do more than just leave it all on the actor to save the scene.
That's true.
You got to have a good scene.
It's true when John Barrowman did show up in this episode, it was total swag. It was like he just walked up and he just like swag, 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 and then he left. And he didn't even really do anything this episode, you know? That was all the actor. Again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And it's like
they need to make big structural changes. I don't see any signs that they're going to. That's what's kind of bothering me. Like it's not beyond saving. It can be saved, but I just don't see them making any moves in the direction to save it.
On the flip side of the coin, Flash had another good episode.
Flash has been remarkably inconsistent, but it has been doing pretty good in the last couple of episodes. Remember before we were talking about how, like, you know, every scene without Zoom this season, every scene without Zoom this season has been kind of dreadful. And then whenever Zoom was on screen, it was like electric, you know. And now they're getting more into kind of Zoom story, and
this episode had no Zoom, and it was still good.
Well, yeah, because it's still referencing it. He's still looming over. Even if he's not in the scene, like his presence is still felt. This
episode had a lot of cool moments. Barry decides he needs to be faster to stop Zoom, and he gets the bright idea, or insanely stupid idea, to go back in time and learn learn the nuances of the Speed Force from Reverse Flash Wells back in time.
Yeah, Eobard Thawne, is that it?
Eobard Thawne.
Yeah.
Of course this backfires. Of course this doesn't go to plan. Of course it backfires. Of course Barry Allen is a colossal idiot. Like they specifically warn him, oh, don't act weird around Eobard, he'll catch on. And then what does Barry do? He acts weird the whole time. It's like, dude.
What was the part where Cisco, like when they were talking about going back, and Cisco said, Barry's really good at playing Barry. You should have seen him at Earth 2. It's like, no, he was awkward as shit in Earth 2.
I know, he was, yeah, exactly.
He's horrible at playing himself.
He's horrible at playing himself. Yeah, he really is. So Barry goes back in time. He incapacitates his past self. And then he tries to learn the secrets of Speed Force from Eobard, but there's a time wraith chasing him because apparently that's a thing. Like, this wasn't a thing at all before, but now it's a thing. And then like Eobard casually explains it away, like, oh, it doesn't come after me because, you know, I'm just that good. Like, I'm careful.
He's not fucking up the timeline, yeah.
He's like, I'm careful, which seems to me like lazy writing for why this wasn't a thing before. But okay. I'll roll.
I actually saw something about the whole time wraith thing being like really similar to something in the comic books, which is they had like the Flash death or something.
Yeah, they have
it's like death for the Flash.
Yeah,
and the Grim Reaper for the Flash.
Yeah, they have a Flash Grim Reaper or Speed Force Grim Reaper, who which is really cool. And this thing kind of reminded me, like if you notice, like the design, it did have like sort of like a Flash suit on it.
Yeah.
So you could definitely tell like this is a product of Speed Force. I'm pretty sure these things are probably in the comic books too. They totally got this from the comic book. But I thought it was cool. I mean, I was willing to roll with it. Like I saw past it, but it's like, oh, it's fun, it's interesting, so I'm just gonna roll with it. And Barry's like, and just like the cool stuff too, like seeing Eddie again was cool.
Yeah.
And like seeing the episode that Barry went back in time to, seeing it from like a different perspective was also really cool. Yeah.
Talk about cool. What about taking an old villain from season 1 and kind of reshaping him as like an ally now?
Whoa! I was gonna get to that. I wasn't ready to mention that, but yeah. They take an old villain and like because Barry messes around with the past, he is actually an ally when they get back to the future. Supposedly, he's just there and then he like pieces out. But he
just shows up, sup, blasts the time wraith and takes off. Or
yep. So, actually, yeah, he pulls a Barry's dad at the end of the episode. So like the next time you see him, he's gonna be chilling with Barry's dad, and then they're both gonna leave again.
Yeah, they're gonna do a whole episode where it's just him and Barry's dad, like in the Bahamas.
Yeah,
sitting on a beach, going like, "Man, Barry's in deep shit, isn't he? Well, not our problem."
Yeah, there was a lot to like this episode. Barry confronting his past self. Of course, Barry F's it up. Of course, Barry gets found out by Eobard. Eobard captures him, threatens to kill him. Barry convinces Eobard not to kill him. And then basically Barry gets back to the future with the only alteration to the timeline seemingly being that he rehabilitated this one villain. but it totally did not go as planned for Barry. At all.
He did get the information though. So he got like a flash drive, like a futuristic flash drive.
Oh yeah, that's right. He did. He did a futuristic flash drive that allowed him to unlock some more speed from the Speed Force because he got that equation from Thawne. So hopefully he could use that to fight Zoom. I'm excited to see what happens in the next episode.
Did you see the preview for the next episode?
No, I didn't see. I watch on Hulu. So Hulu
looks very Zoom focused. Like they're digging into the past of Hunter Zolomon and all that stuff.
They need to because
it looks really cool. Like from what I've seen, it looks really cool.
It's getting close to the end of the season, so they need to definitely. And the final, Flash has been like way better than Arrow so far this season. Like, Flash has been corny. Flash has been goofy.
Flash has been scientifically inaccurate.
The Flash has not committed the sins that Arrow has committed, which is to be flat out boring and frustrating and plain irritating.
Flash makes a lot of the same mistakes when it comes to like character chemistry and stuff, but it seems like they eased back on that in the second season. Like they're still like trying to push in that direction, but they're not like cramming it down our throats now.
Right.
And so we're not getting this kind of like really uncomfortable scenes like we had between Felicity and Oliver, where it's just really forced and just doesn't work. And they're not playing up the drama of that. So
yeah,
got to give Flash credit for that. You know, it seems like the better writers from the Arrowverse people went towards Flash instead of Arrow.
Right, definitely. So this brings us to our last Arrowverse show, Legends of Tomorrow.
Well, kind of last Arrowverse show.
Kind of.
Because there's another one that's kind of in the Arrowverse that we're going to discuss today as well.
Oh, that's right. I totally forgot because yes. Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Let's start with Legends, yeah.
And yeah, this is the last Arrowverse show. I'm saying that confidently. Tonight, Legends of Tomorrow is the last Arrowverse show we're discussing tonight, period. So basically, Legends of Tomorrow, this episode was the continuation from the last episode where they all went to 1950s. At the end of the episode, Ray, Kendra, and Sarah got stranded in the 50s as Kronos took over the ship and they time jumped it out of there with Rip Hunter, Firestorm, and Captain Cold on board. We get the continuation of that where we find out that Kronos has overridden all of Gideon's commands, so Gideon can't stop it, which Gideon is the ship's computer, by the way. Mm-hmm. And we find out that Kronos actually kidnaps Captain Cold. And you think that's weird. Why would Kronos kidnap Captain Cold instead of Rip Hunter when Rip Hunter is the person the Time Masters want?
That's around when I pieced it together.
That's around when you pieced it together. Yeah. Because and they made it super obvious because if you watch like the previously on, to show you what's relevant. And it's like, oh, okay. So yeah, if you pieced it together by now, Kronos is actually Heatwave, still very much alive and kicking because Captain Cold actually did not kill him at the end of that one episode where it looked like Captain Cold killed Heatwave. I think that was the episode right before they went to the 50s.
Yeah.
And
because Jefferson was all, or Jax was all pissed, or acting all pissy in the 50s towards Snart, and then when he got all infected and became like some kind of mutant thing, Snart kind of saved him, and he had to like apologize.
Yep. Remember that. So yeah, so Heatwave is a bounty hunter working for the Time Masters now, because after Snart left Heatwave, the Time Masters apparently caught up to him, took him to the edge of time.
To Gallifrey. The land of the Time Lords.
The land of the Time Lords. and taught him everything there is to know about being a bounty hunter for the Time Masters and all the skills and stuff that come with that. And they just totally made him like a total badass, basically. Instead, just dumb guy who loves fire a lot. And I think I think there's a cool moment at the beginning of the episode where he's like, oh, I'm not as dumb as you think I am, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, no more fire puns from Heat.
Yeah, no more fire puns. I know, no more fire puns. Like, oh, it's getting hot in here.
It's gonna be funny when the thing that gets him back to being part of the team is like when Firestorm does something and he sees the fire and has like a tear roll down his eye.
Yeah, like,
he's like, fire.
Fire.
So beautiful.
I remember fire. So he kidnaps Captain Cold because, that's who he has the biggest beef with out of everybody. Because they were so close, and he feels like Captain Cold, more so than anybody else, betrayed him, betrayed his trust. And he comes up with something really awful. He's like, I'm going to go back in time and kill your sister and make you watch. And then I'm going to go back in time and do it again. And again and again and again, and you're going to watch it every time. And it's like, holy shit, dude. Okay, tone it down on, like, the psychotic.
Like, we get it. You're angry.
No. We get it. You're angry. And Captain Gold actually does something badass this episode. He, like, freezes off his own hand. He, like, freezes his hand, then he shatters it to bits just to escape. And so that's like
they immediately retcon the consequences of that. But it was cool when it happened.
It was cool when it happened. Yeah, they immediately, because future time ship can just regenerate limbs for you. So yeah, one of the fabulous wonders of future tech. There's also the side plot where Sarah and Ray and Kendra are actually stuck in the past for 2 solid years before Rip Hunter gains control of the time ship, and they manage to actually time jump and find them. See, because of what Heatwave did when they time jumped, they tried to time jump back to the moment where they left them, but when they time jumped, it was actually off. And they time jumped to 2 years later, and that's why they were stuck in the past for 2 years instead of like what Ray suggests, which is like, oh, well, they're just going to time travel back to this moment, so all we have to do is wait a second, and they'll be here. And it's like, nope.
You got to feel bad for Ray with a hot girl just being like, yay, the ship's here. Screw everything we had for the last 2 years.
I know, right?
I'm done. It's like, I get it. Let's go get back on the mission, everything like that. I get that. But just like the way she's just like, he's like, do you want me to grab anything from the apartment? And she's like, nah. I don't care about any of that anymore.
It's like she was just dealing with it while this thing was, as soon as like it was over, there was a way out. She's like, wow, thank God, fuck all that shit. Ah, Jesus. I had to live with this guy for 2 years and be in a relationship for him. Jeez, can you imagine? It's like, yeah.
Sarah was just being all moody the whole episode,
I
even
know.
back before she went back to the league.
Yeah, she was like, "Oh, nobody's going to come and save us. You're being an idiot, Ray. Shut up. Stop. They're dead. Everybody's dead." It's like, whoa, hold. Where? What? Now they're dead? It's like, God, that's like huge leaps in logic on something you don't even know. Like, you have no way of knowing that. It's like,
she goes back to the league and like immediately loses all loyalties to her friends.
I know, true. I just thought this. I thought this episode was ridiculous. Like Sarah's characterization of this episode was completely ridiculous. I thought because she gets all moody and then acts like, "Oh well, we're not being saved. They're all dead. I'm going somewhere I belong." And she immediately goes back to the league. First of all, why would you go? Why would somebody like she did not have any love lost for the league the last time I checked. So why would she just go back to them like willy-nilly like that? That part didn't make any sense. And then once she was there, she was like fully like the
drank
Borg.
The Kool-Aid entirely, yeah.
Yeah, like she was assimilated by the Borg or something, you know? It was like, okay, what? Nah, you know, it's like it did not seem like a natural thing for her character, like a natural transition. It's just like they wanted to put the league and Ra's al Ghul in this episode, and that's what they did. I don't know, but it just.
I know that's one thing you can say is that Ra's al Ghul in the episode was actually interesting this time.
Yeah, he was actually interesting.
For the first time since his first duel with Oliver. That was the last time he was interesting.
Probably because in this episode he wasn't all like, "I am going to make Oliver Queen Ra's al Ghul and destroy Star City," because that's a thing. Because why not destroy Star City? Everybody else tries to. Yeah, I think that's where Arrow season 3 lost the plot with that. Is when like Ra's al Ghul's like big plan was to make Oliver Queen the new Ra's al Ghul. Even if Oliver Queen didn't want to be. Yeah. It's like, okay. No, but yeah, he was actually cool in this. I like how they referenced like Talia in this episode. Like, because in like the entirety of Arrow season 3, like his daughter was Nyssa. And I don't think Talia was mentioned even once in Arrow season 3. And I thought, well, that's kind of weird. Like, kind of weird divergence from like the comic book, you know, where it had always been like Talia as Ra's al Ghul's daughter, like, and like she's not mentioned here. It's like this Nyssa, and it's like then when we see he has a daughter in this episode, it's Talia, not Nyssa, who we learn later in the episode hadn't even been born yet at that time.
Do you think introducing Talia in this is like a way to kind of bring her back into the Arrowverse in some fashion, or not back into, but into the Arrowverse in some fashion, like the older version of her?
I think so. I think it is, because now it's established that she exists at least, unless she's like dead or something. Who the hell knows? We never got the impression that
even if she's dead, they could still revisit her through Legends.
Yeah, I think definitely. I think definitely that was a hint, maybe, of something more to come. I don't know if that character works without Batman, though. That's the problem. You know, because I think that character, aside from being Ra's al Ghul's daughter, like the biggest thing about that character was her relationship with Bruce Wayne, and there's no Bruce Wayne in this show, so I don't know how that would work out.
Oliver Wayne.
Yeah. They just replaced that relationship with a relationship with Oliver Queen. Because
it'd be better than Felicity.
That's true. Because
although she'd be quite the older woman, because she's this was what, 1960 when they finally returned. So, and she was already what, like 10?
Doesn't matter. It's Oliver Queen.
So she'd
But
be like,
yeah, but this show has.
like 60, 65.
But then again, Oliver Queen has always in this universe been a stand-in for Batman. So.
Yeah, I wonder if we're going to see more of Talia now that they showed her as a girl, because they could have just completely ignored it, you know?
Yeah, they could have. Yeah, they could have not showed anything, yeah, they could have just ignored it. Definitely. Um, but anyway, what happens is they manage to. Well, actually, they don't manage to do anything. Kronos or Heatwave manages to unite the League and the team against him, and really wake Sarah up out of her Kool-Aid stupor there, and really get her focused back on the team, where
And she's like immediately back to normal and everything's kosher.
yeah, and everything's kosher. It's like nobody even cares. Like the way she was acting, it's just like, oh well, good to have you back. And then they defeat Heatwave. They lock him up, and Rip Hunter boldly announces that he's going to reform Heatwave and make him a part of the team again, because miracles do happen on this ship, and it can happen. And as proof of that, he remakes Captain Cold's hand.
out of bologna and chicken bones.
Yeah, exactly.
I just like the idea that he just like pulled some like spare chicken bones from like a used KFC bucket and some like bologna from a fridge and just like kind of makes a facsimile of his hand out of it.
Yeah,
and then Captain Cold's like, "What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this?
What the hell?
It's your hand."
So that was Legends of Tomorrow. I believe after this week, Flash goes on hiatus for 3 weeks. I think Arrow has one more episode next week, and then that goes on hiatus for a couple weeks too.
And then what? Is Legends continuing on?
I'm not sure.
But there's another. You put your foot down that it's not Arrowverse, but it's kind of Arrowverse.
This is not Arrowverse. This is a different universe. This is Supergirl. This is Supergirl. Okay, so the Flash guest starred on Supergirl, and the reason this is not universe is because for this to happen, Flash actually had to jump through dimensions. That's right. Flash can now run so fast, he can not only time travel, he can travel between dimensions. Like this.
Well, he had that thing on his chest, that device. So you can say science solves it all, right?
Yeah, science solves it all. But he had that thing, but it was all him. So basically this was fun. This is if you hate super cheesy superhero shows, like this is like people compared this to like Power Rangers. This is like more the tone that this show goes for than even the Flash. As lighthearted as the Flash is, this was like even more bubblegum than the Flash.
Yeah.
Usually.
Well, this was even more bubblegum than the regular Supergirl episodes too.
Oh, okay.
Like the regular Supergirl episodes that have been going on this season aren't this saccharine sweet. It's still lighter than the Flash, but it's not that saccharine, you know? This was like super like and there's something kind of endearing about that they just kind of said screw it. Like let's screw all pretense and let's just have fun. You know, we got the Flash and Arrow in one show. Not the Flash and Arrow, but we got the Flash and Supergirl in one show. That's all we need. Who gives a fuck? You know, it can just very loosely tie into anything else that's happening in the Supergirl storyline. you know, a very vague reason for Barry to be there, and then let's just have them interact with each other and have fun with it. So, I mean,
this was very much an episode, just a fun episode. Yeah, as aforementioned, the Flash like dimension hops between his dimension and Supergirl. And Supergirl's dimension, which is Supergirl exists in a completely alternate universe where so far the only heroes that exist are Supergirl, Martian Manhunter, Red Tornado's in this, apparently. Like, I did not watch these episodes.
Yeah, Red Tornado showed up, but he's just he was like a military tool or something. And then there was also some kind of play at Bizarro, but it was like Bizarro Supergirl.
Well,
that they kind of did some weird thing for.
And most importantly, like Superman, the actual big blue Boy Scout exists firmly in this universe with Supergirl. And I think that's the main reason that this is its own universe, because as many people pointed out when Supergirl premiered, that making the connection that if this was Arrowverse and Superman's flying around, then how come nobody's noticed? Was the big thing.
It would be a big topic of conversation.
Yeah, it would be a big topic of conversation. I think so. And so that explains it. This does not exist inside the Arrowverse. So the Flash had to travel outside of the Arrowverse to make this appearance. So mystery solved.
Conceivably, like, you know, all that stuff still exists. Like Krypton still exists and stuff, but who knows? I mean, maybe Krypton wasn't destroyed in that, you know, in the Flash.
We don't know what happened in what the status of Krypton or anything is in the Arrowverse. Like, it's not even touched on or even hinted at in here. We do learn that there is a central city in Supergirl's universe, but there's no Harrison Wells or Cisco Ramon or Caitlin Snow. There's a central city. I don't remember exactly what he said, but I think he even said there's no Star Labs.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a central city, but nothing in that central city that the Flash that Barry Allen recognizes.
I think the idea is that just like the presence of Superman, the very presence of Superman and him coming to Earth and all the kind of stuff that happened around that basically made like all the developments that would lead towards, you know, the Arrow and Flash and all that stuff just kind of irrelevant.
Yeah.
You know, like, so it just never happened, you know, like, because Superman showed up, it's like, oh, there's an extraterrestrial. There's like, since when Supergirl showed up and you had the, you know, the thing crash landed and the government had access to all this technology and stuff, that all of that stuff basically, gets rid of kind of the need for things like Star Labs, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess that's what they're going for.
I guess that's what they're going, because there's Project Cadmus now, which is basically, you know, that's all they need. They don't need Star Labs if they have Cadmus. So so basically,
the best stuff of this episode was all the kind of, it wasn't the superhero stuff. It was all the kind of just verbal interactions between Supergirl, her crew, and Barry Allen.
Yeah.
That was all the kind of best stuff, you know, talking about food.
I would even say it's all the interactions between Barry Allen and Supergirl, Barry Allen and Kara, because they had such amazingly good chemistry together on screen. Like it was fantastic. They got along really well.
It was the opposite of Smoke.
Yeah, it was the opposite of Felicity. I know. It's like, yeah, and I think I was talking about, it's like, okay, so they push for these relationships on the shows that don't seem to work out well, you know, like Oliver and Felicity, or like, you know, even like Barry Allen and Iris, you know, I don't think they have like some amazing chemistry. And it's like, now you have like these two characters, you know, these two actors put up together who who seem to like have amazing chemistry. Like a relationship between them would be far more believable than anything else that's happened relationship wise in any of these shows.
Yeah.
But it's cool. It's cool to see them just be friends. It's cool that we didn't get like, like, oh my God, it's another superhero. Let's fight because I don't trust him or I don't trust.
Yeah,
him.
that was nice.
Yeah,
that was nice.
It's like they were friends from the get-go, like each one of them was like very open and accepting to the other, and there was like no.
Barry was just revealing his identity to everyone.
Yeah,
he's like, not my universe, don't give a shit.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like, not my universe, nobody knows who the fuck Barry Allen is. So yep, I'm Barry Allen, I'm the Flash. Pretty much.
I liked all the stuff between Kara and Barry. I also liked Kat in this episode referring to everybody in the office being attractive yet non-threatening, like a cast of a CW series.
Yeah, like the cast of a CW series. She was awesome.
Like, see, that's another thing is like Kat doesn't really make meta jokes normally on Supergirl, so that's just another example of how this is like they just kind of went completely outside of the norm of what they're doing on Supergirl for this episode. They just said, fuck it, we're just going to have a really fun crossover, and I think that's good. I mean, some people might think it's too saccharine sweet or it's kind of pointless, or some of the stuff was kind of cheesy, or not kind of super cheesy, but I think that's kind of what was good about it. Right,
that was good about it. Like Kara, like she opens up to Barry. She has some anxiety. She's dealing with something where in a previous episode, apparently, she got dosed with some red kryptonite and turned bad. And now the public mistrusts her. She feels like she's lost the confidence of the public, and this kind of nags at her the entire episode. Until like finally,
Barry relates it to like the 10 minutes that he was under mind control, and
yeah, it relates it to 10 minutes he was under mind control. It's like I don't even think like anybody gave a crap about that incident, but so like you really relate, Barry. I don't think nobody was holding that against you for any significant period of time.
The only person that held that against him was like Iris and Eddie, and both of those, when they found out what was up, like that was already been resolved, Yeah.
And it's like, but yeah, like Barry Allen related to that. And then you got this week's villains, which were apparently like real, admittedly like really lame villains. You got this chick that had electricity powers, and then you had...
It's Livewire. She's from the comics.
Oh, Mountain Dew Livewire. Yes, that's right. So you had Mountain Dew Livewire, and you had Banshee, or Screaming Banshee, or something.
Both who worked for Kat, by the way, in the series.
Yeah, both who worked for former employees for Kat Grant, and both of them like got a major hate on. Like the chick with electric powers like actually hates Kat Grant for some reason. She was fired. I don't know. I don't watch the show.
She was fired, yeah.
Yeah, she was fired, I guess, which is kind of like a...
She was like a Livewire. Before she was Livewire, she was like a tabloid, like the tabloid section of Kat's newspaper. So writing like the horrible gossip stuff, and she was fired, and some stuff happened, and then she became Livewire, and then she wanted revenge on Kat.
Which being fired is like a really stupid reason to want to kill your former employee. It's like move on, put applications in for other places.
Yeah.
Don't get electric powers and become a murderer. I don't understand the logic leap there.
And then the other one who became Banshee, she was like an assistant. She was basically a spite hire because Kat was like pissed off at Kara. I can't remember why. And so she hired another assistant and was just kind of like rubbing it into Kara, like, look, I don't need you. You know, I have 2 assistants now. And if you don't come through to me, I'll just get this one to do it for me. And was like, the girl became like super competitive with Kara. And then when Kara was on Red Kryptonite, like Kara like really royally screwed her over and got her fired.
Oh, I see. Right.
And so that's kind of her origin story and why she's all pissed off. So she's not angry at Supergirl. She's angry at
Kara.
Kara, yeah.
Kara just has, so she's trying to kill Kara, and she thinks Supergirl's protecting her when really Kara is Supergirl. So you kind of like really stupidly pick like the one person you can't like beat to try and like make it your life's goal to kill. That's great.
Yeah.
And unless you're Lex Luthor, let's see how that works out for you.
Lex Luthor just waiting in a cell for Darkseid.
Yeah, just waiting in a cell for Darkseid. You gotta give credit to Lex Luthor in that movie. He did achieve his goal. He killed Superman. You know, he did it.
He rung that bell.
Yeah, he rung that bell. But spoilers for Man of Steel. Like, I'm sorry if you were watching this and then
I'll put that in the video description.
Yeah, it's like
I'll put that in the video description so people know, like, when they're checking it out.
I don't think anybody cares.
It's probably so widely spread by now, anyways. But I'll put it in the video description.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so so basically Banshee goes after Kara again, and she gets back up from the Flash this time. And that gives Banshee an idea. She's like, well, if Supergirl has a friend, I'm going to get myself a superpowered friend. And she breaks Livewire out of her Cadmus prison to join her against Supergirl and the Flash.
Mm-hmm.
Which, surprisingly, they actually put up a decent fight because, like, they have both Supergirl and the Flash on the ropes. Like, somehow, like, the 2 most powerful characters in DC Comics, like, practically, and these clowns are, like, clowning them. I don't understand how that happens. But... But yeah, despite their best efforts, Barry and Kara can't really seem to get one over on these 2 until they're finally defeated by ordinary firefighters. Yes, because
a very ham-fisted, these are the real heroes moment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, very ham-fisted. Like, these are the real heroes. Your local police and firefighters. Yay.
Yeah.
And it's like, I guess it's
cool for the local firefighters and police officers who put their lives on. That's nice and all, but it was a really ham-fisted way of showing it. Like, I think it worked better. I think it worked better in, like, you know, in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movie when you had kind of the people from New York all like throwing stuff at Green Goblin. You know, that kind of worked better because it wasn't like they saved the day. It was like they were brave, even though they didn't have power, you know?
Right. This was like, this was like they saved the day because like despite like Barry and Kara's best efforts, they were on the ropes, and then this firefighter gets the idea like, hey, that chick with electric powers, let's spray her with water and see what happens. Oh yeah, her electricity and water don't play well together, and she gets shorted out, and like also like the electricity spreads and it hits like Banshee too, and so like she gets
nobody else.
But nobody else. It's just convenient that like only Banshee's the one who gets hurt from that blowback.
It's a shame, CBS. CBS really should have taken the moment to add another element to the crossover and brought the Splatoon characters in. And then the water also washes away the ink.
No. They should have brought Thanos in, and then revealed that like Cadmus is holding one of the Infinity Gems.
But yeah, I mean, super cheesy. If you're in it for the story, it was a completely skippable episode. But what it really meant was it was just a lot of little fun interactions. I loved when Barry was explained that he was from a different universe, and he was all kind of like, he's like got that kind of grin, like, yeah, I'm blowing their minds. This is so cool. And then they said, it's kind of like how you're from a different planet. And he like looks like, you're from a different planet?
Can I say that I just love Kara, Supergirl in this show. Like the way this actress plays the character is really it's really endearing to me, at least. It's like she's like, yeah, she's like, at least in her Kara personality, she's supposed to be geeky and awkward, and that could be like really, really annoying, character trait. Like if you, not to like continually hate on this character, but if you look at Felicity, like I think she's annoying with like when she like tries to do like awkward, like her Felicity thing. I don't find that endearing. I find that grating. But with Kara, it's like she plays it in like such an endearing and like genuine way that you can't help but to find it charming. And I gotta give her props for that, because that is something that could just be outright annoying or obnoxious, like really fast. But
it's because she has a heart, whereas Felicity is only concerned about herself.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's because she has a heart. Exactly.
Like she'll act all awkward, but then she'll be like really concerned about, somebody else being in trouble, or not just physical trouble like Risk, but like, she'll be like, oh no, did I cause trouble for this person or something? Whereas Felicity's like, oh, I'm so awkward and everything. It's like, fuck everybody else.
Yeah, I know. I'm so awkward. Me. It's like, oh yeah, that's true.
So that's Supergirl, which we're probably never going to talk about on the show again unless they do another crossover. I have to say, honestly, I've watched the pilot. I watched this episode. I don't think the show is that bad. I know I've heard people say like, say the show is bad. I'm like, well, compared to the other Arrowverse shows I watched, like this pretty much stands to. I would say this is at least at least on the same quality level as the Flash, maybe a little less, but this is definitely leaps and bounds over what Arrow is doing. Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, this is actually a very watchable show. So I have no problems with it whatsoever.
Yeah. We've talked a whole lot of DC.
Oh, and now
it's got a remedy for us?
Oh, yeah, I know Marvel fans must hate us right now. But it's okay, because it's Marvel time, baby.
Excelsior! Let's talk about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So this is the episode in which Coulson has an excellent adventure with Lincoln.
Yeah.
And see what else happened in this episode. I'm trying to recall. I just got all scatterbrained.
Oh, geez. No, okay, so basically this episode was the Watchdogs. And so
yes.
The Watchdogs attack the headquarters of the ACTU because they're evil government and they're harboring aliens which need to be like killed or destroyed because they're dangerous. And blah, 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 blah.
We got to stop these watchdogs because they're promising graphics that they're not delivering.
Yeah, exactly. And so basically what happens is S.H.I.E.L.D. has to go after, because I guess before these were just like very vocal like internet nerds or something, but now they're starting to blow up buildings and stuff using Howard Stark technology from Agent Carter. By the way,
that's really cool. I like it when they bring in those Agent Carter elements.
Yeah, definitely. That was really cool. That callback to season 1 of Agent Carter with like the stuff that like implodes things.
I loved Fitz trying to explain that they couldn't just pick up the big ball in the pit.
Yeah.
He's like, no, that's a building. That's really heavy.
Yeah, he's like, that's really heavy. And Mac's like, okay. Another big thing was this episode was heavily focused on Mac. I think this was more of a Mac episode than anything because it opens with Mac. He's on leave or vacation, and he's using his vacation time to spend time with his brother, who he apparently, from their interactions, doesn't see much of.
Yeah.
And so he's trying to spend time with his brother when all this...
Build
motorcycles, drink beers, cook steak. When all this ACTU watchdog stuff happens and Coulson is like, Mac, you need to get here because all this stuff is going down. And Mac is like, oh, I'm on vacation with my brother. Can it wait? And Coulson is like, no, it can't wait. We just lost 2 agents. We're like shorthanded. And this is like really, really freaking important. And he's like, well, it's my brother. And then Coulson is like, no, figure it out. Bye. And
I'm off to hang with my bro Lincoln.
Yeah, I'm off to hang with Lincoln, who's totally not Coulson's bro because Coulson is actually not very happy with Lincoln. Lincoln is not the ideal SHIELD agent that Coulson is looking for. But that's okay because Coulson has taken him on a mission to see what Lincoln is really made of.
I like that in the end, though, that Coulson came to terms with Lincoln. I know a lot of people don't like Lincoln, but I think a lot of what makes Lincoln not work for people is just kind of the weird adversarial role like everybody but Daisy seems to have with him.
Yeah.
Like everybody seems all, I don't know about you, you know? And like Coulson was doing that this whole episode, basically cold shouldering him the whole episode. And it's like, okay, come on. After a while, it's like, give it a break. I like that they finally had the moment where he didn't want to do something that Coulson ordered him to do, but then he did it anyway. So like he voiced objection, but then did it. And that Coulson recognized that as being a good trait. So it does seem like maybe they're going to get past this whole everybody be adversarial towards Lincoln phase. And then if that's the case, then maybe we're going to get more towards the Secret Warrior stuff that we thought we were going to be getting this half of the season.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we're going to get more towards the Secret. Yeah, it's weird. They haven't done any... Like literally, like the first thing they showed, like before the season started, was a big logo that said Secret Warriors. And it's like, that hasn't even been a thing yet, and we're in April. The show was ending in May. It's like, come on. Secret Warriors, my butt. Don't ever advertise anything like that again, Marvel. You're just a bunch of liars. Like, Secret Warriors for the last 5 episodes of the season is not something you advertise before the season even starts.
Yeah. They had
a bunch of BS.
One thing they did that was good was they did, and I think it was the first episode when the season came back, and they started introducing some more Inhumans, and it's like, okay, that's really cool. And then they brought in Yo-Yo, and they're like immediately like, oh, well, I guess you're not joining the team. Here's an iWatch.
Yeah, I know, right?
Here's an Apple Watch.
Here's an Apple Watch. You can. We'll call you when we need a guest spot, I guess.
Yeah. But then after like that episode, it's like they got rid of like Metal Melty guy.
Oh like, yeah.
Who the hell's he?
What's the Secret Warriors? It's Lincoln and Daisy. Okay, that's kind of a crappy team. No offense to either of those characters, but yeah, those two together do not make a super cool, badass, superpower hero team.
Yeah. I mean, the first episode back was cool when it showed them all kind of using their powers. And you saw Metal Melty guy. I can't remember his name, so that's just what I'm going to call him from now on. And Daisy, and I don't even think Lincoln was with them if I remember correctly.
No, he wasn't.
And then Yo-Yo, and the three of them kind of working together and remarking on their uses of powers and stuff. That was really kind of cool. And it's like, okay, they're setting the tone. And then immediately at the end of the episode, they basically said, "Hey, you know all that stuff we were setting the tone for? April Fools."
April Fools. So basically, what ends up happening is they find out that the Watchdogs aren't like just this group of people who are like, you know, upset and disenfranchised. They're actually being mobilized by a former SHIELD agent.
The Man in Black.
The Man in Black, Titus Welliver.
Yes. Reprising the role that last time Will and I mentioned that he was cast in this season, we were like, we don't remember him from first season.
Yeah.
In first season.
I still don't remember him from the first, even after this episode. It's like they're like, oh, a familiar agent, and they're like, you, and I'm like, I don't remember. Apparently he got crippled by Deathlock. I still don't remember him.
Well, the problem there was that that was when the first season was pretty weak, and that was like before the second half of the first season when it started getting better, and so all that stuff just isn't very memorable, you know, like because the show was kind of weak at that point, and you just kind of want to forget about that and focus more on kind of all the cool stuff that's happened since then. And he, unfortunately, even though the actor's fine and great and everything, he unfortunately is like a relic from that period that you just kind of don't really remember.
Right. Right. And so it finds out he's behind the Watchdogs, and actually it's not him, it's Gideon Malik, who is actually behind him and the Watchdogs uprising. We find
Gideon Malik is to blame for Ubisoft overpromising.
Yeah. And so we find that out. Basically what happens is Max sees like his brother sympathizing with a lot of the stuff the Watchdogs stand for. Predictably, what happens is Mac's brother finds out Mac is an agent of SHIELD and not an insurance salesman, as he was lying to him about.
I like the nonchalant way that his brother got involved in the whole situation.
Yeah.
Where like he just kind of follows Mac and shows up on the motorcycle and is like, "Hey, what are you doing hanging out behind that car?" Like ducking, squatting with a group of other people holding a gun.
Like, hey, what's going on over here? Oh. So basically what happens is the Watchdogs go to Mac's house in order to kill Mac.
Because they think they somehow get confused and think that Mac is the one that had Daisy's. Daisy does something, but from their perspective, it looked like Mac was the one that did it.
It looked like Mac was the one that did, so they go after Mac instead of Daisy. And it's like because their big plan was like they were gonna isolate one of SHIELD's Inhumans and like either kill or capture them, I guess. I'm not too sure.
I think it said kill. I think they said they were going to kill him.
Yeah, they were going to kill him. And I'm like, okay. But so they attempt to kill Mac. Mac and his brother end up actually taking them out. Mac gets shot, but I guess it's not serious. I don't know. Fitz gets some of that.
Half his head's still there.
Yeah. Fitz gets some of that stuff on his neck, but they managed to neutralize it, so it's cool. They talked.
That was a pretty tense scene.
That was a pretty tense scene. They talked more about Lash in this episode, like, and May's going after them, and like Simmons is like, "Oh, but you know, we have this vaccine we made from Creel. You know, it can't like cure an existing Inhuman, but it could stop, like, I guess, somebody from transitioning into an Inhuman." And she points out that Lash is actually still in a transition phase, so it might actually work on him. And then May is like, no hope, we need to kill him. And I'm like, oh, he's like, don't give me hope. Don't give me hope. I am going to just kill him.
It's a bad character motivation that we see a lot, but I think of all the times I've seen that, and we've seen that kind of stuff in Flash and Arrow a bunch of times too. I think it's a little bit more believable with May because she's kind of basically saying, I can't have hope. Like I'm not going to be able to deal. Like, don't give me hope and then have it not turn out to be real. And then like, I'm just going to be a mess, you know? So they made it a little bit more believable. It still falls into that old no hope trope.
It falls into that trope. Yeah. Which I saw for what it was. I'm like, okay. Basically, I guess Simmons is feeling sorry for herself because she feels like she's a liability because so many people either died or risked their lives to keep her alive.
She wants to become a badass.
She wants to become a badass and not be a liability. What else was in this episode? I think that pretty much
damage control. Damage control.
Yeah, they mentioned damage control.
There's a real quick one-off little liner, but I just think it's really cool because we know that show's coming, and that's exactly why they put it in there. It's just to basically say, hey, fans, remember that damage control show that's coming? Yeah, we just mentioned it. Isn't that cool?
We just mentioned it. It's a thing now. It exists because we mentioned it. I think that's it. That's the episode. I can't think of anything else that happened that was like worth mentioning. I guess Coulson tests Lincoln by commanding him to kill unmemorable season 1 Shield guy.
Man in Black,
yeah, the Man in Black. But that turns out to be a hologram, and Coulson knew the whole time. And so that really was a test for Lincoln, and Lincoln didn't even use lethal force, so Lincoln passed the test. And Coulson is cool with Lincoln now. Yeah, that's it. I can't think of anything else.
That is it. Yeah, that's everything that's happened on Flash and Arrowverse. A lot of shows we discussed today, you know?
Yes.
A lot of DC. DC heavy.
DC heavy, but these things are always DC heavy with like Marvel really only having like one ongoing show like every week versus like 4 for like DC, you know. And if we really wanted to, we could start talking about Gotham, and that would be another DC.
No, that's not going to happen.
No, that's never going to happen.
Even if they crossed over, they could do a whole season with Flash and Arrow. And I think I'd still kind of put my EIC foot down on that one.
Yeah, I want to watch that. Holy cow! So that's it for this week's TVE versus Marvel versus DC. Do you have anything to plug, Tyson, before we go?
Just check out the website, TVEnthusiast.com. I'm right now in the process of gearing up to improve our video quality. I really want to step up our game. So I want to redo our graphics. I want to kind of get everything nicer looking. And so that's kind of my current project. So you're going to see the site is going to be a little bit sluggish. We're still putting out, the video as well, this video series, as well as the podcast. That's still going to be coming out regularly. But if you see we haven't had, that many other stories kind of popping up on the site as much recently, that's why. It's because I'm currently gearing up and reorganizing stuff to try to kind of improve video content, and I want to add more video content. So that's kind of where I'm going with it. So that's it. Yeah, that's all I have to plug. Nice.
And I don't have anything to plug. Just keep watching TV Enthusiast for all your TV needs, to feed that TV obsession that you have. Feed your obsession with our website or something. All right. Well, Thursday we have our weekly podcast, the TV Enthusiast podcast. where we will discuss what we've been watching this week. Currently we are watching The Magicians, and we are watching 11/22/63. So expect more discussion on those shows. Until then, bye.
Bye.